Hi friends, welcome back. The topic of learning for today is the least cost method under transportation problems, also better known as the LCM method. So let's get started. As you can see, we have a matrix in front of us. It's the same matrix, is the same sum that we have been seeing in earlier videos on transportation problems, but for different methods. And I have deliberately taken the same sum so that just by way of a difference in the method, we are also able to differentiate between two methods and how the total cost would differ at the end depending on which method we adopt, right? So under LCM method, I'll just give you a brief about what this method is all about. Least cost, as the name suggests, we identify that particular cell on priority which has the least cost. Now, and once that cell is allocated to, then we repeat the same exercise, identify the next cell with the least cost again out of the remaining cells, and so on till we reach the end. Stay with me so you'll understand it better what I mean by that. So first and foremost, as always, we need to ensure whether the demand total and the supply total match with each other. So let's quickly have a look at their totals. We can see that the supply total comes to 70 plus 90, 160 plus 180, that is 340. And the demand total is 50 plus 80, 130 plus 70, 200 plus 140, again 340, which makes it a balanced problem. Now that we have ensured this, we are good to start with solving the sum. Now, we have 12 different cells starting from P1W1 till P3W4, out of which I can see that the cell with the least cost is this cell with the cost 100. But hang on, I can see one more cell with the same least cost. So we have a situation where we have the least cost as 100, but we have two such cells. Now what do we do in this case? A student of mine had raised a query saying, sir, why can't we allocate to both the cells 50-50% or half-half? Actually, I wouldn't mind that, provided everything remains the same, all conditions for these two cells are the same. As of now, we can see that the cost is the same, but are the other conditions also similar? Let's quickly have a look. Now that we have our laser pointer on this particular cell, that is P1W4, what is the maximum number of units that can be allotted to this particular cell? The row total has a maximum of 70 and the column total has 140 in it. So a maximum of 70 units can be transported to this particular cell and nothing more than that. I'm using the terminology or the simple word maximum. Anything less than 70 is also possible. But obviously, every company, as we have discussed earlier also, wants to keep their cost to the minimum and maximize their profits. So if we have a cell on hand which has the least cost, any company would want to transport maximum possible out there. Clear? So the maximum possible is 70. Now someone raised a query saying, why can't we transport 80 when we have 140 here? Yes, looking only at this figure, I can transport at most even 140. But since this cell falls under this particular column as well as this particular row, we need to satisfy both the conditions. So a maximum of not more than 70 is possible according to the row total. Yes, we can exceed 70 looking at the column total. So considering both these aspects, a maximum of 70 is possible to be allocated to this particular cell, that is P1W4. So, but hang on. Now let us look at what this cell is saying. P3W2. Again, going by the same logics, the maximum number of units available in the column is 80, whereas the maximum number of available units is 180 according to the row, which means a maximum of 80 units can be transported to this particular cell, which is definitely more than the previously seen cell. So these were the two cells out of which we can say that cell P3W2 can be transported 80 units and P1W4 can be transported 70 units maximum. So the company would definitely want to prioritize transporting to this cell first, that is P3W2. So we identify this particular cell for the first allotment, first transportation allotment. And how many units can we transport here? That also we have just discussed. So which is 80 in this case. Now what happens next? There were totally 80 units out here, out of which we have identified or allocated entire 80 out here. So this total gets reduced straight away by 80. 80 minus 80 comes down to 0. What happens to this total? Similar approach. 180 minus 80 comes down to 100. Now, as we can see that the total in the column W2 has come down to 0. Now, from the problem solving point of view, wouldn't it make sense to simply ignore all that which is not to be considered so that we are able to focus on that area which has to be considered? What do I mean by that? Have a look. What have I done? I have just taken off this particular column. So even by mistake, I will not consider anything in this particular column after this allotment has been done, because since we do not have any units left, there is nothing that can be allotted further in this particular column. So we simply discard it, right? Let's move on. Now out of the remaining 9 cells, again repeat the same exercise, identify that particular cell which has the least cost, which we have already done, which is cell P1W4, which has a cost of 100. So this is the cell for the next allotment. And how many units? We have discussed that also. A maximum of 70 units is possible, right? So the same approach, the same steps to be repeated. Bring down that 140 by 70. 140 minus 70 comes down to 70. Bring down the 70 in the row total by 70, comes down to 0. The row total has now come down to 0. Again, the same approach. We strike off the row so that even by mistake we do not allocate anything to those remaining cells, right? Because they are not eligible for any allotment simply because there are no units left in that particular row. Now again repeat the same process. Have a look at the remaining cells. We have 2 plus 2 plus 2, 6 cells, out of which I can see that cell P3W4 has the least cost, which is 200 in this particular case. We identify this particular cell. And how many units can we transport to this particular cell? 70 possible in the column, 100 possible according to the row. So a maximum of 70 is definitely possible. We bring down the total of the column from 70 by 70 to 0. Pay attention to my words. We bring down the total of 100 by 70 and bring it down to 30. The total in the column has now come down to 0. We strike off the column And now we are left with a revised matrix where we have only 4 cells left which can be allotted to. Now if you observe, out of the 4 cells there are only 2 costs, 700 and 400. 700 is found in one cell and 400 is the cost, which is the least of the two, found in 3 cells, P3W1, P3W3 and P2W3. So what do? Simple. We repeat the same exercise which we did for the first allotment, where we had a situation where we had 2 cells with the same cost, that was 100, right? So we repeat the same process for these 3 cells with cost 400 also. So let's quickly have a look at this one, P3W1. 50 here, 30 here, so a maximum of 30 possible here. We make a note. P3W3, 70 here, 30 again here, so a maximum of 30 again possible for this particular cell. So both these cells can be allotted a maximum of 30, which tells us that there is a tie again between these two cells. Now let's have a look at the third one, P2W3. 70 according to the column and 90 according to the row total, which means a maximum of 70 units can be transported to this particular cell, which is definitely more than what we could allocate or transport to these two cells, which was 30 for each, and this is 70. So obviously the company would want to prioritize transporting to this particular cell. So this is the cell that is identified next in line. And how many units? We've just discussed that also, that is 70. Reduce the 70 by 70, bring it down to 0. Reduce the 90 by 70, bring it down to 20. 90 minus 70 is 20. The column total has now come down to 0. Strike off the column. Now what are we left with? Only 2 cells, 700 and 400. It's obvious that we need to first identify this particular cell, that is P3W1, since it has the least cost of the two. And how many units? We had discussed this a while ago, which is 30. 50 here, 30 here, so a maximum of 30 possible. Bring down the totals from 50 to 20 in the column and from 30 to 0 in the row. The row total has come down to 0. We strike off the row, and now we are left with this lone cell, which is P2W1, where we make the final allotment, which is, if you observe, 20 as well as 20. And we've discussed this earlier also, that it is no coincidence, since we had started with the same with a balanced problem where the total of the demand and the supply were matching, and at every point after every allotment we have been reducing the same number of units from a particular column as well as a particular row. So at every point in time after every allotment, the remaining total units according to the row were matching with the total in the supply as well, right? So we allocate 20 here, reduce both the totals by 20, bring them down both to 0, and we strike off the column as well as the row. Now this is the final allotment according to this particular method, that is the LCM method, right? Now once this allotment is done, what is the total cost incurred by this particular company according to this particular method? So let's quickly have a look. So you know what we have been doing to identify the total cost. We take a snapshot of this particular table and bring it onto the next slide so that we are able to refer to it while preparing our table, right? So this is the table, and this was the snapshot, and this is the table that we've just prepared. We give headings to the table: source, destination, number of units to be transported, and the total cost for that particular cell, right? So which was the first cell that we had identified for transportation? This was the cell, that is P3W2. And how many units? 80 units at 100 units, 100 rupees, we can say. It could be plain in rupees, or it could be in thousands or lakhs, depending on the volumes of the company. So we can say 100 a piece. So we write it down in the table. P3W2, how many units? 80. And what would be the cost for transportation to that particular cell? It is 80 into 100, which is 8,000. Now that we are done with plotting it in the table for the first cell, let's move on to the next cell. So the second cell that we had identified for transportation was P1W4. We write it down again in the table. 70 units at 100 apiece, 7,000. The next was again as shown by this red flashing arrow, that is P3W4, 70 units, and cost would be 70 into 200. The next one was P2W3, 70 units at 400 apiece, comes to 28,000. The next in line was P3W1, which is 30 units at 400 apiece, 12,000. The next one was P2W1, which was 20 units at 700 apiece, 14,000. Now that we have plotted figures and details for all the transported cells, let's pull down the total for this particular table. So the total according to this particular method comes to 83,000, which is different from the total that we had arrived at using the earlier two methods. Remember, the sum is the same. It's just a change or a difference in the method which has resulted in a difference in the total as well. So that's all about it under the LCM method. Stay tuned. Thank you.